Let's talk about the first pillar. And this is an important one. Everything is a game. What does that mean? To me, this is one of the most important foundations for being an efficient learner. It is something so profound that has had a tremendous impact on my life in a positive way. You see, when we frame our mindset to think that everything is a game, we inadvertently allow two things to happen in our lives. The first one is this idea of a growth mindset. Now, the opposite of a growth mindset is called a fixed mindset. And what we want to have to be efficient learners is a growth mindset. And that is that we believe talent, intelligence aren't just gifts that we're born with. Everything that you learn is trainable. Everything you do or things you want to learn can be learned. The idea is that with enough effort and strategy, you can get better at anything. Now, yes, I know that we learned that not all of us start in the right place and some are more advantageous than others. Maybe we go to a better school. Maybe we have better physical talents. But at the end of the day, when it comes to learning and using our brains, everything is trainable. And that's what a growth mindset is. A growth mindset is the belief that intelligence can be developed. And students with a growth mindset understand this. They can get smarter through hard work and the use of an effective strategy or strategies. As opposed to a growth mindset, some people have a fixed mindset. And that's the belief that intelligence is a fixed trait that is set in stone at birth. You're either born smart or you aren't. And those are the type of people that make excuses, right? They believe that they cannot get smarter. So they avoid doing things that make them look dumb. And this essentially leads students to avoid challenges and tasks that actually help them grow. Instead, they just give up as soon as they struggle. But when we hold a growth mindset, when we think, hey, everything's a game, we're just improving constantly, people can now look at the world around them as an exciting place to grow and embrace these challenges and opportunities that come your way. This is what we need to develop mastery. In her book, Mindset by Carol Dweck, she talks about this idea of growth versus fixed mindset. When a fixed mindset person approaches a challenge, he or she usually thinks, hey, will I look smart or stupid while doing this? Instead, when a growth mindset approaches a challenge, he or she usually thinks, how might I learn and grow from this challenge? A fixed mindset person, when they encounter an obstacle or something difficult, is going to say, I'm not smart enough to do this. I can't do this. Versus a growth mindset person will think, I'm not smart enough to do this yet. When we view everything as a game, we realize that we learn, we adapt. Our player in this world gets more and more experience points as they encounter challenges. So that's the first thing that happens, this idea of a growth mindset when we view everything as a game. The second is this idea of control over life, or what psychologists call locus of control. What does that mean? In psychology, locus of control means to what degree people believe that they have control over outcomes and events in their lives. People that have a strong internal locus of control or believe that they have a lot of control over their lives, believe events in their lives derive from their own actions. For example, when you receive a test score, somebody with a strong locus of control usually blame themselves. They know that it was their fault for not doing well on a test, and they know that they could probably improve and they need to put in a better effort next time. Somebody who has a lower locus of control, or what we call an external locus of control, tend to blame factors outside of themselves, such as the teachers. The teacher didn't teach me well enough. This course didn't teach me well enough. Or I didn't have time because I was so busy with other things in my life. They blame everything around them and never blame themselves. When you start realizing that you have control over your life, When you start realizing that everything is a game, and just like in a game, we control our player, we control our destiny, you are better prepared to be an efficient learner. Exams and tests suddenly don't mean anything. Grades don't really mean anything, right? Sure, they give you feedback. But at the end of the day, all that grades and tests and exams are is a system. We're just learning how to optimize a system and we get a score back. If we believe that we have control over our lives, that we have a growth mindset, that we can improve our intelligence, this is all just a game. This is our player in a game that has failed a few times and just gets back up and improves each time. Because we learned that nobody remembers your failures. I remember my very first university test, I got 10% on that exam. But nobody really cares about that, do they? You only need to be successful a few times in life, and the rest of the times you can fail. And when you start viewing everything as a game, it changes your whole perspective to learning. Instead of thinking, I'm not smart enough to do this, it becomes, I'm not smart enough to do this yet. And the first step to going from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset is to realize that your brain can change. And this is something that we're going to explore in the science of the brain. But just as a sneak peek, yes, your brain actually grows and changes throughout your life. One famous study was done on taxi drivers in London. And researchers noticed that the more times a London taxi driver has spent driving a taxi in London, the larger a region of their brain associated with spatial awareness and memory, which was the hippocampus, we'll get to that, had actually grown. So what they learned is that as these drivers drove more and understood their landscape more, the roads more, the region of that brain actually grew. And more studies are showing that brains can actually adapt. You can speed up your brain circuits. And that's the thing. Everything is a game isn't necessarily just a mindset. It's the truth. Our brains grow. Our brains adapt. And if we believe that, and if we start to realize that, the way we look at learning really shifts. Learning new skills is a great tangible way to realize that you have control. For example, even the act of learning how to change a tire on a car actually increases your mindset that you have control over our lives. Instead of seeing events as things that happen to us, they become simply challenges that we need to overcome. So remember, everything is simply just a game.